Have you ever reached the end of the day and wondered why you're so exhausted, even though you didn't do anything physically demanding? Your body feels heavy, your mind feels full, even simple decisions feel harder than they should. And maybe you've even said to yourself, I shouldn't feel this tired. But what if your exhaustion isn't about doing too much physically? What if it's about carrying too much emotionally? Now, today I want to talk about emotional exhaustion because many people push through it every single day without realizing how much they've been carrying for so long. So, if you've ever found yourself feeling tired, no matter how much sleep you get, or finding it difficult to concentrate, or feeling overwhelmed by small things, or even losing interest in activities you once enjoyed, or possibly feeling emotionally numb or disconnected, or even wondering why you just don't have the energy you used to. Now, this conversation may explain more than you realize. I'd like to welcome everyone. I'm Janine Naus, and your grief and trauma relief specialist. And this is another healing step session where we gently increase awareness around emotional patterns many people have carried for years without fully understanding them. So today's topic is, why do I feel emotionally exhausted? And I want to approach this with compassion because emotional exhaustion rarely happens overnight. More often, it builds up quietly, one responsibility, one disappointment, one difficult season at a time. So let's start with our first teaching point. And I call it emotional exhaustion doesn't always look the way people expect. So when people hear the word exhausted, they often think about lack of sleep, working long hours, being physically busy. But emotional exhaustion can look very different. Sometimes it looks like smiling while feeling completely drained. Sometimes it looks like continuing to help everyone else while quietly running on empty. And you may notice yourself saying, I'm just tired. I'm fine. I'll be okay. Yet inside, everything feels heavier than it used to. And that's because emotional energy is real. Every difficult conversation, every disappointment, every responsibility, every time you put your own needs aside requires energy. And when those moments continue for weeks, months, or even years, the weight begins to add up. So many people become so accustomed to carrying emotional weight, they stop noticing how heavy it has become. Now let's move on to our second teaching point, which is that you may be carrying more than you realize. Now, one reason emotional exhaustion often surprises people is because they don't recognize everything they're carrying. They're carrying responsibilities, expectations, other people's feelings, old hurts they haven't had time to process, decisions, worry, uncertainty, pressure to keep everything together. And some are constantly anticipating what could go wrong. Others are always trying to keep peace. Some rarely ask for help, and others feel responsible for everyone else's well being. Individually, each of those things may not seem overwhelming, but together they create a tremendous emotional load. And because many high functioning adults continue showing up, going to work, taking care of family, keeping commitments, other people may have no idea how depleted they actually feel. Sometimes even they don't realize it because pushing through has become normal. Now, let's go ahead and wrap up with my third teaching point here, which is called listening to what exhaustion may be telling you. See, healing doesn't begin by forcing yourself to have more energy. It begins by becoming curious. What is this exhaustion trying to tell me? Maybe it's telling you that you've been carrying too much for too long. Maybe it's asking you to acknowledge your own needs. Maybe it's reminding you that constantly giving without receiving eventually becomes unsustainable. And one gentle practice this week is simply noticing where your energy goes, not judging yourself, not trying to fix everything immediately, just noticing. Notice which conversations leave you feeling lighter. Notice which responsibilities feel especially heavy. Notice when you're saying yes, even though every part of you wanted to say, not today. Awareness doesn't remove every burden, but it often helps us recognize which burdens truly belong to us and which ones we've been carrying out of habit. Sometimes the first step toward feeling lighter is simply recognizing how much you've been holding. So today I'd like to leave you with one gentle reflection. If your emotional exhaustion had a voice, what do you think it would be trying to tell you? Would it ask for rest? Would it ask for support? Would it ask you to stop carrying things that no longer belong to you? Many people spend years believing they simply need to try harder, work harder, push harder, keep going, when perhaps what they really need is permission to notice how much they've already been carrying. And awareness is where change often begins, not because everything suddenly becomes easy, but because we stop expecting ourselves to carry every burden without acknowledging its weight. So I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me today. And if today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What part of today's conversation spoke to you the most? And if you'd like to continue exploring these patterns in a supportive, compassionate community, I'd love to welcome you into the Bridge to Healing community. It's our Facebook group, and you'll find a link to join my group in the comment below. And if you're ready for more personalized support, my complimentary 30-minute healing clarity session offers a gentle place to begin understanding what may be contributing to the emotional exhaustion you've been carrying. Thank you for being here today. Take gentle care of yourself this week. Sometimes the most compassionate thing we can do is stop pretending we're not tired and begin honoring what our heart has been trying to tell us all along. Bye-bye. See you next week.